I never believed in fate. Not until the night I met her. People say everyone has a moment that splits your life into before and after. A moment you don't expect, a moment that hits you so hard it rearranges everything you thought you understood. About love, about yourself, about the world you're walking through. For me, that moment happened on a quiet bridge at 2 in the morning, under a flickering street lamp, in the cold of early October. My name doesn't matter. Call me Daniel. I'm 34. And this is the story of the only woman who ever made me feel like time could stop. Her name was Aria, and the night I met her was the night I learned how delicate a heart can be, and how far a person will go when love refuses to let go. It was the kind of night when even the wind sounded tired. The park was empty. The river looked like a sheet of black glass. And I was there, standing alone on a little pedestrian bridge, thinking about the choices that had led me to that moment. That's when I heard footsteps. Slow, uncertain, like someone wasn't sure whether they should be out at all. When she stepped into the glow of the street lamp, the first thing I noticed wasn't her face. It was the way she held herself, as if the world had been weighing on her for far too long. Then she looked at me, and everything changed. Her eyes. I've never seen eyes that carried so many stories and so much silence at the same time. Sorry, she said quietly. I didn't mean to interrupt. You're not interrupting, I told her. She moved closer to the railing, a few feet away from me, hands tucked into the pockets of her coat. Strange hour to be out here, she said. Right back at you. She smiled at that, barely, but enough for me. She was the first to speak again. Sometimes the night is the only time I can hear myself think, she said. And what do you hear? I asked. She let out a soft breath. More than I want to. Less than I need. That was Aria. Always saying things that sounded simple, but carried far more meaning than she'd admit. She told me she lived nearby. Worked at a small library. Loved October, but hated the cold. Collected old postcards, even though she had nowhere to send them. And that for the last few months, she'd been trying to find peace, but it kept slipping through her fingers. She talked, and I listened. Really listened. It felt like she was letting me into a part of her life that hadn't been open for anyone in a long time. I don't usually talk to strangers like this, she said eventually. I smiled. And I don't usually stay up this late. She laughed softly. That sound stayed with me. Even then, I knew she wasn't someone you forget. After that night, we kept running into each other. At the park, at a small cafe near the river. Sometimes even on the same bridge, as if we both kept circling back to the place where everything started. It wasn't planned, but it felt right. We talked for hours about everything, books, music, why people pretend they're fine when they're falling apart. But sometimes, she'd grow quiet, as if a shadow passed behind her eyes. I didn't push, not at first. One evening, when we were sitting on the riverbank, watching the water move slowly under the lights, she said something that made the air feel heavier. Daniel, you're a good man. And I'm scared you might regret knowing me. I turned to her. Why would you say that? She hesitated, like she was choosing between telling the truth and running from it. My past isn't gone, she said softly. And it won't let me go. That was the moment I realized whatever she was carrying, it was more than sadness. It was fear, real fear. It happened 3 weeks later. Cold rain. The kind that soaks you instantly. I was at home when someone knocked on my door. When I opened it, Aria stood there, shivering, eyes red, hair dripping. Daniel, she whispered, can I come in? I wrapped her in a towel, made her tea, and sat beside her on the floor because she didn't want to sit on the couch. And then she told me everything. She had been in a relationship with a man who controlled every piece of her life. Her time, her friends, her choices, her silence. She left him, but he didn't believe she meant it. He thinks I belong to him, she said, and I'm scared he's going to prove it. Her hands were shaking. I held them until they weren't. That night, she fell asleep beside me, not as a lover, but as someone who needed a safe place to breathe. After that, things changed. Some days Aria was warm, open, smiling. Other days she was distant, like she was already slipping away from me. She'd cancel plans without explanation, disappear for a day or two, apologize without telling me why. I tried to be patient, tried to be understanding, but her past wasn't just following her. It was chasing her, and the more afraid she became, the more I realized. I was afraid too, not for myself, but for her. It was late November when things finally reached a breaking point. Aria showed up again, but this time her fear wasn't hidden. It was written all over her face. She stood at my doorway, arms wrapped around herself, as if she was trying to hold her whole world together. "He found me," she whispered. Those 2 words changed everything. I didn't ask how, didn't ask when. Her trembling was enough. I stepped aside, let her in, and locked the door behind us. For the rest of the night she paced my apartment like a bird that knew the cage was temporary. Every sound from outside made her flinch. Every shadow made her breathe faster. And for the first time since I met her, I didn't know what to say. 2 days passed without sleep. Not for her, not for me. Aria kept insisting she didn't want to ruin my life. Didn't want me involved. But I already was. Completely. On the 3rd night, she finally broke down. We sat on the floor of my living room. The lights were off. Only the street lamps from outside lit the room in a pale, trembling glow. "I'm tired," she said quietly. "So tired of running. Tired of being afraid. Tired of pretending he can't reach me." She leaned her head against my shoulder. And for a moment the world felt peaceful, even though danger was inching closer with every hour. "If something happens," she whispered, but I stopped her. "Don't say that." Her voice cracked. "You don't understand. He's not going to stop, Daniel. Not until I disappear." The next morning, Aria was gone. No note, no message, nothing. Her coat was missing. Her scarf. Her shoes. That silence. It felt like the world collapsed inward. I searched the park, the cafe, the library, all our places. No trace. It was as if she'd been erased. That night, it snowed for the first time. Thick, heavy flakes drifting in the cold wind. I knew, somehow, I had to go back to the bridge. The place where our story started. I found her standing there exactly where I first saw her. The river was almost frozen, lights reflecting in the black water like broken glass. She wasn't crying. She wasn't shaking. She looked calm, too calm. "Aria," I said softly. She didn't turn around. "You shouldn't be here," I continued. "I have to be," she replied. Her voice was steady but empty. "He's not far," she added. "And I'm tired of dragging you into my fear." I stepped closer. "You're not dragging me anywhere. I choose this. I choose you." She closed her eyes. "I don't want you to get hurt because of me." "I'm not going anywhere," I told her. She finally turned, and for the first time since I met her, her eyes weren't filled with fear, they were filled with acceptance. And that scared me more than anything. "Daniel," she whispered, "you can't save someone who no longer believes they deserve to be saved." I heard it before I saw him, Footsteps on the snow. Slow, heavy, certain. Aria stiffened. I turned. A man approached us. Dark coat, cold eyes. The kind of expression that told you he'd crossed a line long ago and didn't plan to step back. "So this is where you've been hiding," he said to her. His voice was calm, too calm. Aria stepped forward. "Please, don't do this. Just let me go." He didn't look at her. He looked at me. "You think she belongs to you?" he asked. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. He already knew my answer. And maybe that's what pushed him over the edge. Everything after that happened fast, too fast to stop. A shout, a step, a struggle, a sound, a single, sharp crack that echoed across the empty park. For a second, time really did stop. Then Aria screamed. I felt my knees hit the ground before I realized the cold wasn't from the snow. It was from the blood spreading across my ribcage. Her hands were on my face. Her tears dripping onto my skin. "Daniel, no, no, stay with me, please, please." Her voice broke in ways I had never heard. I tried to speak, but my breath was already fading. Behind her, the man ran. Coward to the end. But I didn't care. All I saw was her. Her face, her eyes, her shaking hands. "Aria," I whispered. "That's my before and after." Her cry was the last sound I heard before the world dimmed into darkness. They say love changes a person. I think that's true. But loss rewrites you entirely. Aria survived. The police found the man days later. Justice came, but too late to matter. She visits the bridge sometimes. I know she does. The same way she used to visit me when she still believed she could outrun her past. People say they see her standing there in the early morning, hands on the railing, talking softly under her breath to someone who isn't there. Maybe she's talking to me. Maybe she's talking to the version of herself that never learned how cruel love can be. As for me, I still don't believe in fate. But I believe in that night. In her. In what it meant. In the way one person can enter your life quietly, and leave so loudly that the world never sounds the same again. And if you ever cross that bridge in October, when the wind is cold and the street lamp flickers like it's remembering something, you might feel it too. The echo of a love that tried, fought, and broke. A love that was real even when it couldn't win.